I cannot even express how stunning this is. The president of the United States was engaged in a conspiracy. That's the allegation. I'm so disappointed in Barack Obama. He puts himself up there as a scandal-free president. Now, look how great it was for 8 years. That guy on the screen, he was lying to us. And he was part of concocting a conspiracy to deceive the American people. It doesn't get any worse than that. And how many times did I get a lecture from the Democrats about nobody's above the law, nobody's above the law? They all said it. They drove it home every time. And we'll see where they are now. They're going to run for the hills. And Jonathan Turley is right. He is absolutely right. Where is the intellectual curiosity? Where are they going in terms of returning their Pulitzer Prizes and all the awards that they won and patting themselves on the back on how great they were on getting Donald Trump? They were all lying to us, and they got snookered, and they should be held accountable. And I want to see some people in handcuffs. They have to be held accountable, or it'll happen again.
Big news, big news on the Obama scandal front. Tulsi Gabbard has doubled down. Between her and Chuck Grassley have released a double dose of what was going on in the Obama-Clinton era. So we've got Tulsi Gabbard that showed up as the guest of honor at the Carolyn Leavitt press conference today, the White House press conference. We are going to listen to her remarks as she absolutely goes scorched earth on Obama and the Obama administration and how they rigged everything against President Trump and ultimately against the American people. At the same time, we've got Grassley, who has released what is called the Clinton annex, which is thumbnail drives that the FBI has been in possession of since before the 2016 election. And we're going to dive right into those. Thanks everybody for rolling up. Really appreciate you being here in Courageous Media. So let's dive right in to this press conference, to the presser, the White House press briefing that Tulsi Gabbard showed up for in her power white suit, as she had some things to say about the Obama administration and this entire Russiagate nonsense. Before we do, please smash that like button for me. Turn on the notifications. It really helps us in the YouTube algorithm if you subscribe, if you comment, and if you share this. So please do so. And right now, let's dive right in.
Trump's direction and with the support and coordination with the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified Oversight Majority Staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
That is so important. They knew it was false. It was contrived from the get-go. It's not a mistake. It's not an oops. They did this from the get-go, which means every time Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Susan Rice, Strzok, any of them showed up before Congress, they're guilty of perjury. Now, it looks like Tulsi Gabbard's found a way around the statute of limitations on a lot of this stuff, because by framing it as an ongoing criminal conspiracy, there is no statute of limitations. It's absolutely amazing. Here we go.
The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, they deserve accountability, and they deserve justice. The records that we released on Friday that were ODNI records Senator Chuck Grassley's release on Monday of what is known as the Clinton Annex, which was an appendix to the Department of Justice Office of Inspector General's 2018 report, as well as the House Intelligence Committee's majority oversight report that we're releasing today, all come back to and confirm the same report. There was a gross politicization and manipulation of intelligence by the Obama administration intended to delegitimize President Trump even before he was inaugurated, ultimately usurping the will of the American people. I'm going to go over the key findings from the House Intelligence Report, which investigated the claims that were made by an intelligence community assessment ordered by President Obama and published in January of 2017. First, Putin's principal interests relating to the 2016 election were to undermine faith in the U.S. democratic process, not show any preference of a certain candidate. In fact, this report shows Putin held back from leaking compromising material on Hillary Clinton prior to the election, instead planning to release it after the election to weaken what Moscow viewed as an inevitable Clinton presidency. In the January 2017 intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered, John Brennan, who was CIA director at the time, and the intelligence community intentionally suppressed intelligence that showed Putin was saving the most damaging material that he had in his possession about Hillary Clinton until after her potential and likely victory. The report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
Putin clearly had a preference at this point. If he had a preference for anybody, it was for Clinton. But it sounds like, based on all of their evidence, that Putin had a preference for no one, really. He was just being pragmatic. He knew, based on all the polling, he knew, like everybody else knew, that somehow Clinton was going to win. And so he had damning stuff on her that he was holding back until after the election. If he really wanted Trump to win, all that would have been released. The fact that she's probably looped out on anxiety medication, all of the damning bribery and pay for play information out of the State Department to get people to support her for a presidential campaign, all of that would have been released. But none of it was, because Putin was not in for Trump. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows this was a complete and utter lie. It was a fabrication by Obama, by Brennan, by Clapper, by Clinton, undergirded by Comey and everybody else. And absolutely, you are correct. Biden was absolutely in on it as Obama's VP, and as essentially the one that they installed in 2020 in order to try to clean all this up in the 4 years that he was in office. We want accountability. We want arrests. I want perp walks. I want the media standing outside their door when the SWAT team goes in, busts the door down, and they are walked out in handcuffs. Now, I said that there was another part to this story. She mentioned it briefly, the Clinton Annex. This was released by Senator Grassley, and this is the details of the Clinton Annex. So Senator Chuck Grassley just released newly declassified annex from the DOJ OIG report detailing disgraced former FBI Director James Comey handling of Clinton's private email server, which is in direct violation of all the U.S. code on handling classified information. Now, they obtained thumb drives from a source during the Clinton investigation, but then FBI Director James Comey, as well as Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, remember all these names, failed to perform additional targeted searches of the drives, even though they contained information relevant to the inquiry. They didn't fail to in as so much as, oh, they forgot, oh, they were incompetent, oh, they botched it. No, they actively covered up what they knew was a mountain of crimes by Clinton. Crimes against US code, violations of State Department policy, US government policy, records, the archives, the US National Archives policy, from the destruction of emails, the destruction of servers, the peddling of classified information on unsecure servers, having a private email server in the first place. And the big part about this is the big scandal in this is because we have these thumb drives, we now know that President Obama sent and received emails to then Secretary Clinton on this private email server. And it would have been no mistake. It was not sent. They weren't emails sent to her official, State Department email, because that would have been on the secure State Department server. No. These would have been sent to whatever one of 13 email addresses that she used. And so he absolutely knew that she was using an unsanctioned, illegal, private email, unsecured server. And so one of the reasons why the FBI had to bury this story, there could be no real investigation. There could be no depositions. There could be no nothing, because then it would come out that these included in these unsecured emails were emails to and from President Obama. And he stated under oath, I believe it was under oath, correct me if I'm wrong, that the first time he heard about her private email server was when the FBI investigation revealed it. No, Obama knew about it from the get-go. So this scandal just gets bigger. You've got treasonous conspiracy on the one side, plus on the other side, you've got essentially another set of treasonous conspiracy to cover up Clinton's crimes and to try to get her elected. This is only going to get deeper. It's only going to get worse, and it's going to further fracture the Democrat Party. This could spell the absolute death of the Democrat Party, the end of the Obama, Clinton, Biden era, the complete fracturing of that weird coalition that is called the Democrat Party. I think we are watching in real time the death of the Democrat Party, and it's a great thing to see as they skew farther left, thinking that their saviors, their leaders, are going to be Sandy Ocasio and Ilhan Omar and Mamdani from New York, and this other knucklehead Omar from Minnesota. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to lose the entire center left, but I could be wrong. Because again, most of the Democrat Party is just way left. It's not even center left anymore. Let me know what you think in the comments.